Okay, good evening, everyone. Council has been here since this afternoon, so we're going to start on our planning items shortly. And first of all, I'd just like to welcome you all here this evening. We have most of council here this evening, along with our CAO. We do have one council member on Zoom. He wasn't able to get to the office today, and we have one councilor that is away. We also have our manager of, I can't remember Heather's title, Manager of Administration and Planning, and we also have our planning assistant with us today, and we also have Femi from RRPD, our planner for the municipality. So with that, I'm going to ask for a resolution to come out of camera because we were in camera when we took our supper break, and we'll get back into the regular meeting of council.
Resolved that as per section 152(4) of the Municipal Act, Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clements does now resume sitting in a regular meeting.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second Councillor Spicer. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we do have a number of planning items this evening, and the first item we have is a conditional use, but before we get into that, I will ask for a resolution to move into the planning part of it, please.
So resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for conditional use 17 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, so our conditional use for this evening is number 17 of 2022, and I'm going to turn it over to our planner, Femi, to walk us through the application.
Yeah, if I will allow me to do that. Good evening, council members. The first item tonight is a container use application for CU 17 of 2022. Location is 37143 PTH 12, road number 730700. The intent of this proposal is to allow a garden suite use on the subject property within the RT Recreation and Tourism Zone. The applicant proposes to construct one additional temporary building to be used as a garden suite to house a caregiver for the owner. The map we're looking at shows the subject property and the surrounding area. This is the subject site plan that shows the location of the garden suite, existing house on the property, and the existing garage. For council's consideration, subject proposal is consistent with the settlement center policies and objectives. Subject property connected to all-weather road PTH 12. There is no known land use conflict. Manitoba Environmental Compliance and Enforcement Branch is requesting additional information on the existing and proposed on-site wastewater management system on site. Other commenting agencies generally note any concerns. Council may want to put a time frame on the garden suite if it's necessary. The RPD is recommending 3 conditions. Should council wish to approve this application? And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions from members of council to the planner? I have one question, and it's to do with one of the, I guess, conditions if council proceeds with this, is you talk about a time frame. So if council chose to put a time frame of 3 years on there, once the 3 years is done, does the applicant have to reapply, or can we grant an extension without a new application if both parties are still living in the 2 houses?
He has to come back and apply for a new container use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the planner from council? Councillor Sutherland, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, if we did put a time frame on it, 3 years would be kind of short, I would say. If we would put a time frame on it. Because this, he says he has to come and reapply again, so.
Right, no, I was just using that as an example, Councillor Sutherland, like that wasn't mentioned anywhere, but I wanted to clarify whether it would be a new conditional use or if we can just grant an extension to this original conditional use. If both
Okay, yeah.
parties were still living there.
Kind of thought that, but yeah, because I wouldn't want to see a short time frame like that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew you were just asking the question.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Sutherland. Is the applicant in the audience this evening? Oh, let me speak to Councillor Spicer first.
So just a question, so the garden suite is allowed as long as the caregiver is there. So is there a time period after the caregiver is no longer there that the garden suite has to move?
That is why I said council can put a time limit if it is necessary, because we don't really know how long the caregiver is going to be there, so it's not something that we don't know. Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 10 years? It's not something that.
But, okay, in that instance, then, can council review the application, say in 3 or 5 years, and then decide whether they should reapply or whether it's going to be deleted from the system?
If there is no time limit today,
Right,
the application runs with the land.
right.
Yeah, so that's the only time that I have.
Well, I
Okay.
guess that goes back to my question then. Like,
Right.
let's assume we don't put the time limit, and the caregiver is no longer giving care to those people. So really, that building should be moved off at that point. That's
So
kind of what I'm getting
yeah,
at.
the problem with that is if there is no time limit today, there is no mechanism to come back and
Check on it.
check on it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Administrator.
Femi, just a question, so council as a conditional use, as part of the conditional use, is council able to identify a specific time for a review? So that it shall be reviewed that they're living, that all the intents are being done, so in 5 years as an example. They can do a review without having to apply for a new conditional use.
The problem with that is how will that be done? How will that be carried out without an application?
Make it part of the approval.
It's part of the approval, so in 5 years, the applicant is required to come back
To come back.
as part of that. You're not sure about that one?
It's going to be tough to enforce because there won't be any application there. Except that he's just going to come back here on his own. I won't be here, but just council review. Yeah. There won't be any application that is tied to the review. Yeah.
Okay, I did ask if the applicant was in the audience, so if you wanted to speak to the application, now would be your opportunity.
So, okay, like, don't know exactly how I'll go about it, but two people that are the caregiver that's looking after the brother,
Right,
my son's looking after the brother, and whatever happens to my brother, I don't know how long he's
yeah,
got,
right,
like he might last 5 years or whatever, and then if I'm old enough, then I'll just hold on and need to look after me, because I'm 63 right now, so once I hit 65, maybe my son can look after me on the same property, so.
so your
How
son
long
is
would-
the caregiver then?
Yes, he is.
To your brother
Yeah, and he's owner of the
of the
land,
property?
Yeah.
Okay.
so he just, like,
So what you're saying, if something should happen and your brother is no longer with us, then there's a possibility that you could move into that residence and then your son would be a caregiver for yourself?
Sure, then I can go spend time down there and you look after me for a while. Looked after him long enough.
This is just a transfer of name, basically.
Well, really, yeah, that's all it would be, so, okay. Any questions to the applicant from council? Anything else that you want to add? Okay, I'm just gonna ask council, what is the wish? Do you want to put a time limit, or should we ask for a review in 5 years, or prior to the 5 years, or how do you want to work
Well, in
it?
the past, we were giving 5 years. We didn't want to review.
And,
I don't know if that's policy or what, but that's the direction we're taking.
If you're doing 5 years, I think the planner is saying that what you're doing is putting a time limit of 5 years. And then new application will come forward
But
for extension.
we, without a new application though, it was before we were giving 5 years with a review, like an open, like it's not closed, it's not even sold in 5 years. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and
Like
that's
it'd
why
be
I
a
was
condition
asking.
of conditional use that be reviewed in 5 years.
I've seen it before done, and I recall it in the past for conditional uses, but I haven't seen any, and I don't know what the new policy in Red River is.
Oh, it's their policy as opposed to ours?
Because Red River has to bring it back, not
After 5 years.
not the RM.
Okay, that changes.
and if council chose to put no time limit on it, if it was just open-ended, the caregiver and the person that they're looking after can be there, and then if that person leaves this world, then his brother could move in there, and it would just kind of keep going like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Would it carry on with the sale of the property?
Yes.
Yeah. It would carry on with this now?
Because it's tied to the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's time.
Uh,
Go
my
ahead.
son- My son's 32 years old, and he has no reason to sell it. Once he winds up with it, it's gonna be his.
Because you said he's on title, right?
Yeah.
And the property that we're talking about, is that right next to the RCMP detachment?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, what is the wish?
Dave Sutherland.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I would prefer just not to put a time limit on it. I do know the residents also, and it's in the family, and as I shouldn't call him by his first name, as the person in the audience there says, his son may be looking after him, which is in all likelihood could be happening, so. And right now, the owner of the property is the person we're talking about that would be going into the granny suite, right?
The
Am I right?
caregiver would be in the granny suite, I believe, and the property owner would stay in his residence.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay.
They're both property owners,
they're
right?
both property owners, yeah.
Yeah,
But you don't want to try to move somebody elderly out of their home because they're gonna fight tooth and nail, right?
right,
Well,
yeah.
Sterling.
Yeah. What about if a condition was put on by council that secondary suite could stay until such time that the property was sold? Like you're saying that it probably will stay in the family for a number of years, and I'm saying, well, what if you choose to not go there and then your son chooses to sell it, then that would perhaps be an opportunity to get rid of that second residence when the property is sold.
Yeah, that would be an option.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That would make sense.
Okay, would you be okay with that if we put that as a condition, that it could remain, and it doesn't matter how many years, like if you
So if
move
he
in.
sells it, then
If the owner sells the property, then the secondary suite would have to be removed. But as long as it's in the family, I'm gonna say, then it can stay there.
yeah.
Okay, you can have a seat if you like, and we'll keep going here, so. Anything else from members of council? Not seeing any hands be raised, so I will ask for a resolution to move out of the public hearing, and we will move this one forward.
Resolve the public hearing for conditional use 17 of 2022 be closed, the regular session of council be reconvened.
Now, mover please, Councillor Horbis, Councillor Spicer seconds, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question, all those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Now, there is a resolution, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure how the wording is in there, so if we can just go
We'll have to add the
through.
fourth one.
Okay, thank you.
So whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 730700, a property legally described as PTSE 17-18-7E and located at 37143 Path 12, has made application for conditional use 17 of 2022 in order to allow garden suite to be constructed on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, conditional use application number 17, 2022 be approved for the following conditions. 1, the conditional use approval is limited to what was proposed within this application. Any changes in use may require new conditional use approval. 2, the applicant owner obtains all permits from Red River Planning District and Manitoba Infrastructure. 3, the applicant owner obtains all necessary permits, clearances from the Manitoba Environment, Climate and Parks, Environmental Compliance and Enforcement Branch. And then 4, the applicant owner, let me correct that. 4, the conditional use will remain with the property until such time that the property is sold.
Or changes ownership.
Or changes ownership.
Yeah, but there's two owners.
Or 2, we should say it is
Yeah, I think sold is better.
sold from the current ownership.
Because if one person transfers it to the other, it's still okay. Because if they sell it, then it's not there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
the
approval shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of date of making.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So you're good to put the secondary suite there, and the 2 homes can remain until such time that the property is sold, whenever that might be. Okay,
Okay, as long as one of their names is on the deed, right?
that's right.
Correct.
Okay. Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move on. That was the only conditional use we had this evening, so we do have a number of variation orders. And the first one on our agenda is variation order 81 of 2022. And can we move into the variation board, please?
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 81 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horbis seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, Femi, if you want to go ahead on this one, please.
The second item on the agenda tonight is a variance application EO 81 2022. Location is 5824 PR 202 road number 219150. The intent is to allow an increase in height from 13 feet maximum to 17.5 maximum for a proposed accessory building in the RR Residential Zoning District. What you're looking at is what is called the variance request table. The said property is on RR, residential, and in that zone, the maximum allowed height for the structure is 13 feet. The applicant is proposing 17.5 feet. That is subject sites and the surrounding area. And that's the applicant's site plan that shows the existing resident, the house, the workshop, the new one, and the shed that is going to be demolished. The one we're looking at shows the different elevations of the proposed garage. For council's consideration, subject proposal is consistent with your residential policies and objectives. Proposed height will facilitate additional storage space. RRPD records shows that there are no previous variance application of the same height from the immediate vicinity. A permit application for the detached structure has been submitted to RPD and is currently under review. If council wish to approve this application, RPD is recommending 4 conditions as listed. That ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Mr. Planner, I might have missed this, but, so the application's for 17.5 feet in height,
Yes, instead of 13.
because the letter submitted talks about 21 feet in height, and so does the elevation drawing shows 21 feet in height, so which,
So if you look at the elevation drawing, the top left one, it shows 10 to the gable end.
yeah,
So you take the midpoint, because it's a gable roof, so you take the midpoint of that, and that is where the 17 is coming from. It's 21 to the edge of the roof itself, but you don't take it to the edge of the roof, take it to the midpoint of that.
okay, well, I
radius,
just
yeah.
wanted to clarify, make sure we had the right numbers here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions to the planner? Is the applicant in the audience this evening? Do you have anything that you want to add to your application at this point?
No, just as was already presented, what we're doing is we're demolishing an existing building and building a new one. The reason we want to go with the height is it's a loft. It's basically housed within the truss. And so it allows us to use, like, we want to store some like household items up there, not really suitable for a garage. And because the lot is long and narrow, to be able to go to a smaller footprint is helpful to us. So, and the look of it, we're trying to keep it look residential, not like a industrial building.
Okay, any questions to the applicant from members of council? And I think, if I remember correctly, when I was going through the package, I think one of the conditions is that it not be a habitable space. You don't have any intention of conducting a business or having sleepovers or kids sleeping
No.
over, anything like that?
No.
Any?
In
Because
fact,
that's gonna be right in the resolution, and, you know, if we end up coming out and inspecting and we find that it's a habitable space, you're not gonna be a very happy person. So.
yeah, the intention of this right now is that it's gonna be cold storage right now. We're not even, but the plans show that there is a future possibility of insulating, and we're roughing in for radial floor heating if someday we could afford it. So the thing is, but my understanding, but we have no intention of occupancy, no plumbing,
Right.
water, that type of thing. But the one thing that I would understand, just for my own clarity, is that if we actually did want to have a sleepover or something like that, or something that the kids wanted to do that, could we apply for an occupancy permit in the future?
Mr. Planner?
As it is right now, you also really have no kitchen, no bath, nothing. So if you come for an occupancy, that might trigger the entire building to be upgraded. And I'm not sure if the RPD will grant such a request.
So did you get that, sir?
Yep. So that it would have to meet your occupancy code. that
Building
would be
code for
available.
fire protection would be the biggest
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Okay, any other questions? Council, if council's ready to deal with this, I will ask for a resolution to move out of the variation board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 81 of 2022 be closed. Regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And I believe we can read the resolution for file number 81-2022.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 219150, legally described as RL 179, Plan 2470, and located at 5824 PR 202, has made application for variation order number 81 of 2022 from height of proposed accessory building 13 feet to height of proposed accessory building 17.5 feet. Purpose to allow 17.5 foot high detached garage on subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 81 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what is presented in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions would require a new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District and the Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation. The use of the proposed garage is for personal use only and not to be used as habitable space. The applicant owner shall demolish the existing 450 square foot shed on site, and this order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of date of making.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Bazarowicz seconds. Any further discussion, questions on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so the next variation we have is number 84 of 2022, and if I could have a resolution to move into the variation board, please.
Madam Mayor, if I could just for
Sure.
1 second. The two applications that have been already dealt with, you're more than welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave if you like.
I'm just in learning mode.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Resolved, the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 84 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Bazarowicz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And Femi, if you could walk us through variation order number 84 of 2022, please.
The various application VO 84 2022, the location is 18 Frontier Road, road number 685974. The intent is to reduce the frontier setback from the required 30 feet to 21 to place a 320 square feet accessory building in subject property zone SR. That's the variance request table. It shows that the subject property is on SR. It is not residential. And under that zone, the required frontier is 30 feet. The applicant is proposing 21 feet. The map shows the subject property and the surrounding area. And then the subject site plan, the location of the existing house, the location of the proposed accessory structure. For council's consideration, the placement of the proposed accessory structure in front of the existing building is not in keeping with the sound land use planning. This is not consistent with the streetscape along the frontier road. All accessory structures on the street are located behind the principal building. The minimum of 30-foot frontier requirement for both the principal and accessory structure in the SR district is to ensure that accessory structures do not project beyond the principal building on site. In general, the location of the proposed structure is not compatible with the existing building pattern on this block of Frontier Road. This marker shows the existing building pattern on Frontier Road, and we are looking of existing accessory structures are located at the rear. The council wishes to approve this application. 3 conditions have been prescribed. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Is the applicant in the audience this evening? Do you have anything that you would like to add to your application at this point in time?
Well, that I'm a retired permanent resident in a seasonal place. So I'm there all year round, and the reason why I need this in the front of my property is because I can't get anything that big down the side of my house. Because I have like and this is an already made shed.
So it's a prefab?
It's a
briquette
prefab.
Shed?
Yeah, they'll
Okay.
put it together to match my house and then set it down. So I wanna keep my quad in there because I keep getting stuck from the space from my back shed to the front road.
And how far is the building that you're proposing from your home?
It's going to be the required 10 feet from the farthest point. And because I have an attached porch, it's actually part of my house. I had to go an additional 10 feet from where the eaves ended off the porch. So I wasn't able to put it where I actually wanted to, but.
Okay, any other questions from members of council? Okay, is council ready to deal, if council's ready to deal with the application? Yeah, that was the question that I had, is why are you wanting to put it in the front of the house rather than the rear? When, you know, if you look at that aerial photo, like there's.
Everybody's is in the back.
Right,
But my
and
house is too wide.
to make it, to fit it into the back, or to get it to the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, if council's ready to deal with it, I'll ask for a resolution. I don't see anybody else. Is there anybody else in the audience who wants to speak on this one? I didn't ask that question before because there weren't that many here, and I kind of thought that if somebody did want to say something, they'd be putting up their hands, so it appears that, I think, is a gentleman for the next, or a couple applications down. I do have one for variation order 91 of 2022. That name is listed, so, yeah. Okay, so if council is ready to deal with it, I'll ask for the resolution to come out of the variation board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 84 of 2022 be closed. Regular session of council be reconvened.
Mover, please. Councillor Spicer, second. Councillor Strang, any additional information or questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. And if we could have the resolution, please.
Resolution.
Yep.
Whereas applicant owner of tax roll number 685974 legally described as Lot 8, Block 1, Plan 10613 and located at 18 Frontier Road has made application for variation order number 84 of 2022 from front yard 30 feet to front yard 21 feet for proposed 320 square foot detached accessory. For purpose to reduce the minimum required front yard setback for an establishment of 320 square foot accessory structure on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 84 of 2020 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what is proposed in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions would require a new variance approval. Applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Plan District. The use of the proposed accessory structure is for personal use only and not to be used as habitable space. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, second. Councillor Spicer, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next variation we have is variation order number 86.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. 86 of 2022. If I could have a resolution to move into variation board, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 86 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And Femi, if you could go ahead on this one, please.
The next item is variance application BO 86 2022. Location is 82101 St. Peter's Road, road number 104140. The intent is to reduce the required site area and site width within the A40 agricultural limited zone. The requested variances are part of the condition within communally approved a subdivision S21, 29, 22. The request table shows that the soil property is zone A40, and the site area minimum requirement is 40 acres, and the applicant is proposing for lot 1, 24.398 acre, and for lot 2, the applicant is proposing 21.263. And in the same zone, the minimum lot width is 300 feet, while the applicant is proposing 260.35 width for proposed lot 1. The map shows the subject property and surrounding area. This is the what is called the SAM, the subdivision application map as per S21 to 922 that was approved by council. For council's consideration, the original subdivision application was approved by St. Clements Council and the RPD board, given its consistency with regular planning, basic development plan. This application is a fulfillment of condition 3 of the subdivision application S21 to 922, and this is more of a formality. Should council choose to approve this application, RPD is recommending just one condition. The application be as proposed in the application. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Questions to the planner from members of council? Okay, I am not seeing any questions. Is the applicant in the audience this evening?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything that you want to add to your application at this point?
I'm not changing the site width. It is already that width. And then the reason that it's split at that line there, if you recall, the subdivision is because of the power line, so I couldn't make it any other size other than that.
Okay, thank you for that. If council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask for the resolution to come out of the variation board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order number 86 of 2022 be closed, the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a move, please? Councilor Bazarowicz, second. Councilor Spicer, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And if I could have the resolution for this variation, please.
Whereas the applicant or tax roll number 404140 legally described as RL 1575495 and located at 82101 St. Peter's Road has made application for variation order number 86 of 2022 from site area 40 acres to site area lot 1 24.398 acres, lot 2 21.263 acres, from site width 300 feet to site width lot 1 260.35 feet. Purpose to reduce the minimum site areas for the proposed lots 1 and 2 and the site width of the proposed lot 1 within the 840 agricultural limited zone. This requested variance is in this application are part of the conditions within the conditionally approved subdivision application S21-2922. Therefore, be it resolved the variation order 86 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions: that the variances be limited to what is being proposed in this application. Any further changes will require a new variance approval. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councilor Horvis, Councilor Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, I'm just checking the time here. Oh, yes, we're good.
Next one, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order number 91 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Bazarowicz, Councilor Sutherland, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, Femi, if you could give us the information on this application, please.
In Manasa Variance application BO 91/2022, location is 16 Shelley Drive, roll number 687-80805. The intent is to increase the required combined area from 800 square feet max to 1128 square feet max number of accessory structure from 2 to 3, and unit area from 800 square feet to 840 square feet. The request table, variance table shows what the subject property zone is on SR, and under that zoning district, the maximum allowed square footage for accessory structure is 800. The applicant is proposing their combined on site 1128 square feet, and also as a unit, what the applicant is proposing currently is 840 instead of 800, and that increased the number of accessory structure on site to 3 instead of 2. This map shows the subject site and the surrounding area. This is the building elevation as submitted by the applicant. This is the site plan that shows the location of the existing house, location of the proposed garage, the 2 existing sheds on site is also shown on the site plan. For council's consideration, proposed accessory structure will be used to store personal belongings. There are 2 existing sheds on the property that the owner would like to keep. The current proposal is shown to be 30 by 28 feet and comply with the required setbacks. That is, there are no variances being applied for at this time for setbacks. While the required variances are not a minimum modification of the zoning bylaw, the subject property has a thick vegetation that will provide a natural buffer from surrounding properties, and there are no existing variances for bigger accessory structures within the immediate vicinity. Should council wishes to approve this application, RBD is recommending 2 conditions as listed. That then approves the resolution.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Is the applicant in the audience?
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I know we're only allowed to have 800 square feet, and we do have an 8 by 12 shed that's on the land. We bought the land about 6 years ago with the intention of moving out there, so it doesn't show it on the overhead Google map there. We actually just built a 1,500 square foot home, and we're now living out there full time. So when we bought the property, it had a 12 by 16 shed already on it. The challenge with that shed is it's actually off the ground, and it was built on essentially posts. And so it doesn't allow me to put, for example, like a snowmobile, my ATV. I own 2 boats. I don't like leaving my stuff outside. Like, we have bears and stuff that just transfer land, and we have cats and other things. So I like to keep my stuff protected. We have 2 vehicles, which one we commute, and the other one would be staying, in the garage. I own canoes, kayaks, we campers, and so we do require a fair amount of space to keep all of our stuff stored in a manner in which we can protect it. So that's why we've made the request.
Okay, thank you. And I see your, I guess this must be your contractor. He is on Zoom. Mr. Jelen, do you have anything you want to add to this application? I see that you are listed as the contractor on this application.
That is correct. I don't know if there's anything further to add. Dan, being the property owner, has kind of described his intended use for the detached garage quite well, and we of course support this and advocate for this to be supported.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from members of council to the applicant? If council is ready to deal with the application, I'll ask for a resolution to move out of the variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 91 of 2022 be closed in the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazroj, Councillor Corbus seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And if council is ready to move this one forward, I'll ask for the resolution, please.
Whereas applicant owner of tax roll number 687805 legally described as lot 13, block 3, plan 13928, and located at 16 Shirley Drive, has made application for variation order number 91 of 2022 from combined floor area 800 square feet to combined floor area 1128 square feet, from unit area 800 square feet to unit area 840 square feet, from number of accessory structures 2 to number of accessories 3. Purpose to increase the combined floor area, number of accessories, and unit size requirements for both the existing and proposed accessory structures on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 91 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what is proposed in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions will require new variance approval. The proposed building is to be used for personal storage only. The order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer. Mover, okay. Moved by Councillor Spicer, second please. Councillor Horbis, any further discussion? I guess the only thing that I would say is, do we need to put in there that it not become a habitable space?
Be safe.
That's totally fine.
It's just that we've run into this before where we've approved one thing and it ends up to be something else, and it causes the applicant and the municipality a lot of grief, so.
I get it, I've driven around, I see what some of the places look like, I totally understand.
Okay, so if you could just maybe read the last condition, if Heather has a.
I haven't entered it yet, but.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just be adding in there that it not be a habitable space. Okay, the mover and the seconder fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on this one then? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Resolved.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order number 92 of 2022.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so Femi, if you could go through variation order number 91, or 92, I should say, of 2022.
The variance order of BO 92/2022, the location is at 341 Rockhaven Road, road number 209842. The intent is to allow the increase in the unit area for proposed accessory structure from 1,280 square feet to a maximum of 1,900 square feet in the RR residential zoning district. That's the variance interest table. It shows the area property is on RR residential, and that in that zone, the maximum required accessory structure is 1,280, but that plan is proposing 1,900 square feet. That's subject property that shows the surrounding area. And that's the subject site plan that shows the existing building and the location of the proposed accessory structure on site. These are different elevations. Shows a 3-car garage and the height and the site plan. For council's consideration, subject proposal is consistent with the rural residential policies and objectives. The proposal is for storage of personal belongings and equipment. Proposed garage is shown to comply with the required PR setback standards for accessory structures. There are no previous variances or requests for increased accessory structure in size within the village vicinity. If council wishes to approve this application, RRPD is recommending 3 conditions. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions to the planner from members of council? And I do see the applicant is in the audience. Do you have anything that you want to add to your application?
Just as Randy was saying, we could make it that it's more for his toys, his bikes, his motorcycle, like I shouldn't say motorcycle, his boat, the quad, all the toys that Ben liked to have. And being the house we built already has our 3 vehicles in it, that there's just, yeah, and he doesn't like things left out, so that's his reason for going with that size.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions to the applicant? If council is ready to deal with this application, I will ask for the resolution to move out of the variation board.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 92 of 2022 be closed in the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, and if we could have the resolution for this one.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 209842 legally described as Lot 7, Plan 60725 and located at 341 Rockhaven Road has made application for variation order 92 of 2022 from unit area 1,280 square feet to unit area 1,900 square feet. Purpose to allow a 1,900 square foot detached garage on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 92 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what is presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions will require a new variance approval. 2, the applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Planning District. 3, the use of the proposed garage is for personal use only and not to be used as habitable space. And this order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of date of making.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion on this application? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, the next application we have is variation order number 94 of 2022, 2022, and if I can have a resolution to move into variation board, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 94 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Femi, if you could take us through this one, please.
Variance application BO 94/2002, location is 159 Grand Mirage Boulevard, road number 751000. The intent is to, the applicant is proposing to have an accessory structure on site with a reduced side yards, 4 on one side and 12 on the other side instead of 15. And create the required size from 800 square foot max to 844. So the variance table shows that the soil property is on SR, which is seasonal residential, and in that zone, the maximum allowed accessory structure is 800 square feet. The applicant is proposing 844 square feet. And the interior side yard in that district is 15 feet. The applicant is proposing 4 and 12 on both sides. The map shows the subject site and the surrounding context. This is the subject site plan that shows the location of the garage and the proposed side yards and the rear yard. For council's consideration, subject proposal is consistent with the settlement center policies and objectives in the development plan. Proposal is compatible with other existing residential development in the area. The area of employments require that a log grading plan be submitted by the applicant. RRPD is recommending free of conditions should council wishes to approve this application. And this submission, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions to the planner from members of council? Is the applicant in the audience this evening? Have you anything that you want to add to your application at this point in time?
Well, we did get the lot grading done already, that last point 3. I did get that kind of made for June, for the house.
For the house,
I was here
okay.
previously for our house, so that lot grade's already done.
Okay, so we would have it here because we are the ones that usually do the lot grading, correct, Heather? We would have it here? So,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else, questions for the applicants? anything that you want to add to your application at this point?
No, unless it's questions to me, I'm fine.
It doesn't appear that way, so I will ask for a resolution to come out of variation board, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 94 of 2022 be closed the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second. Councillor Spicer, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And if I could have the resolution for the application, please.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 75-1000 legally described as Lot 3, Lot 7, Plan 2639, located at 159 Grand Marais Boulevard, has made application for variation order 94 of 2022 from unit area 800 square feet to unit area 884 square feet, from side yard 15 feet to side yard 4 feet minimum on east side, 12 feet for the west side, for purpose to increase the floor area and reduce the side yard requirements for proposed accessory building, detached garage on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 94 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to what is being presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions would require new variance approval. The applicant order obtained all required permits from RRPD. The applicant order submits a lot grading plan together with same comments for approval. The order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bezrowicz, Councillor Horvis, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we do have one more variation on our docket this evening, and that is variation order number 96 of 2022. And if I can have a resolution to move into variation board, please.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for variation order 96 of 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Sutherland, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Femi, I will ask you to walk us through this one, please.
The various application PO 96/2022, location is 43330 Edison Highway Road number 35335. Proposal to allow reduced front yard on Old River Road setback of 38% of 50 feet for the proposed building on properties of CH, Commercial Highway. The request that we showed here that the properties of CH in that particular zone, the minimum front yard is 50 feet. The applicant is proposing 30 feet. The map shows the select property and the surrounding context. This is the subject side plan that shows the front yard on the Old River Road. It's a 30 feet to the existing building. For council's consideration, proposed commercial structure is consistent with the development policies objective for development plan. Subject site is double frontage on Edison Highway and Old River Road. The applicant is proposing a front yard setback of 30 feet on Old River Road to 50 feet. Old River Road cannot be classified to be in the same category as Edison Highway. The existing building on site has a plus or minus 10 feet front yard setback from Old River Road, which is less than what the applicant is proposing. There are no concerns coming from RM or highway department. RRPD is recommended to conditions approval. Council, please approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Femi. Any questions to the planner from members of council? I see the applicant is in the audience. Do you have anything that you want to add to your application at this point? Okay. Council is ready to deal with this application. I will ask for a resolution to come out of the variation board, please.
Resolved that public hearing for variation order 96 of 2022 be closed in the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bezrowicz, Councillor Sutherland, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And if I can have a resolution for the variation, please.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 35335 legally described as RL 287 located at 4330 Henderson Highway, has made application for variation order number 96 of 2022 for a front yard 50 feet to front yard 30 feet. Purpose to allow a reduced front yard setback of 30 feet instead of 50 feet for the proposed building on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order 96 of 2022 be approved with the following conditions. The variance is limited to the front yard, Old River Road of the proposed building as presented in this application. Any further changes, replacements, or additions would require new variance approval. 2, applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Planning District. And finally, this order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Counselor Horvis moves, Counselor Spicer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, so I think that pretty much covers our planning this evening, because we don't have any subdivisions, we don't have any zoning bylaw amendments, so Demi, I guess you get a break tonight and get to go home early.
No cake for you.
I have to say, having the breakdown of the times is much better.
Yeah, I kept kind of watching my watch to make sure that we weren't getting ahead, because that was kind of the fear that we might get ahead, but it worked out pretty well tonight. So, let's just take a couple of minutes and then we'll, I think we still need to go in camera to do some more items. So let's just take a couple.
Let's
Deepak, just a minute.
Let's go in camera, see.
Okay, yes, that's it.
Okay, let's go into camera first. Resolve, council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal personnel issues. And further be it resolved that all matters discussed are going to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Horvis, Counselor Gazarow, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Exactly.